Hey Stormwing Knights Battle Reports fans. Been a while since we've gone over the rules and such, and 2017's been out for a bit. A lot of new armies and such. A couple of new rules that we've gotten since last time with the when the first rules came out. I mean, the game's come so far from the beginning. It's insane. So I figured it'd be nice to do a little tutorial 2.0. Where we kind of go back over everything and all that, and a fun little. It was basically a 400 point match, so but we'll just kind of go everything. So now when you construct your force, you can declare allegiance if you build your army based on certain keywords. So what we have here is a Free People's Army facing off against a Nurgle army. And one of the new things in 2017 to 2018 is the addition of allies. Each force can take a number of points of allies equal to a percentage of the army. That percentage is 20% of your build. So if you're playing 500 points, for example, you can bring up to 100 points of allies. So that's what we've done here is on the Free People side, we've brought a Amber Battle Wizard who's from the Collegiate Arcane, who is an ally of the Free Peoples. So he can come and join the army without breaking allegiance, which is great. You can get a little. You may like the Free People numbers and the warriors and stuff, but they are lacking a bit in the way of magic. So why not buff up your magic with the Battle Wizard? Or you need some artillery? Add in the Iron-Willed Arsenal, so on and so forth. So we have Free Peoples taking on Nurgle. Nurgle had a big update this year as well. Haven't had a chance to play with them too much, so, I mean, the models just disgust me. They're just all so gross. I mean, look at these guys back here, just, bleh. But, it's some people's thing, so. But let's walk you through a round of Age of Sigmar, and we'll show you how the game works. So, game's broken up into 4 phases. The hero phase, which is where you use your hero's abilities and commands and magic and all that sort of fun stuff that says in the hero phase. After the hero phase, you have the movement phase, where models will move and run and march about the map, to claim objectives and fight each other. After movement is shooting, so which is when units that can shoot, like these handgunners here, can fire at anything in range. So. And then after shooting is charging, which is a little different than Warhammer Fantasy Battle if you've played back in 8th or earlier and such, where you can move and your movement isn't combined with charge anymore. So a unit can move, take some shots at the enemy, and then draw their melee weapons and charge in. It just feels so much more dynamic than Fantasy Battle was in that regard. But that's not what this is about. We're not doing a fantasy versus Sigmar here. We're just talking strictly Sigmar, but just wanted to let you know that if you are coming up from Warhammer Fantasy Battle. So after charges is the combat phase, which they've lost initiative, and they do a very interesting back and forth system where you and your opponent take turns picking units to engage with, which is pretty cool. So let's get to it. So first thing is setup. Armies take turns setting up one unit after another. Battalions can drop all as one, obviously. Which a battalion is a combination of troops that you can pay more points to give them a series of abilities, kind of like a regiment of renown of sorts, that you can drop them all together. So we're not running any of that, though. We're just basic drops. So the Free Guild had 4 drops, whereas Nurgle had a good old 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops. So Free People's finished deploying first, and the way Sigmar works, instead of rolling off at the start of the game to decide who goes first, in most cases, if you're following the general rules, is the player who finished setting up all their units first gets the choice of first turn. So in this case, seeing they're going to be charged by the lines of Nurgle hordes, the Free People have designated that they will go first. So first up is the hero phase, where they will do their hero abilities and such. So, the Battle Wizard can cast a spell. And the way you cast spells in Sigmar is you just take 2 dice and you roll them together. So he's going to try and cast Arcane Bolt. So we're going to take these 2 dice, roll them together, and we are looking for a 5. So we got it. So the spell goes off, and then you can do the effect. Now, wizards all come with their own specific spell, but on top of that, all wizards know the spells Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield. Arcane Bolt casts on a Arcane Bolt casts on a 5 up, and then Mystic Shield will cast on a 6 up. So because we got our 5 for Arcane Bolt, it does go off. So now you check ranges. So the Rotbringer Sorcerer is within 18 inches. So if you're within 18 inches of a caster and you have the ability to unbind, which wizards possess and some other models might possess in the game, then you can try and dispel it. And the way you do that is you take 2 of your own dice and you're trying to beat the cast value. So he'll roll his. He rolled double ones, so that is not higher than the 5 that was rolled. So the spell does go off. Now the Battle Wizard can pick a unit within 18 to zap it. So he's going to pick these left unit of Plague Center Bearers, and boom, he's going to do 1 mortal wound to him. So that'll kill one and pop him, and you'll leave him there for later, because he's dead. Alright, so after that, he's done casting, because he can only cast 1 spell. So next are any other hero abilities or command abilities that you have. Now, the Free Guild General is our general of our Free Guild force, of course. Riding a horse. Man, I feel like Dr. Seuss or something. We're just rhyming all day. So what he can do is, if he uses this ability called Hold the Line, he picks up to 3 free people's units within 15 inches. They can't move or charge, but you can add 1 to all hit and wound rolls for them until your next hero phase. So seeing that he's about to get barreled on by some forces of Nurgle, he, does his commanding presence and hold the line. So he'll pick his Free Guild swords and his handgunners. So they all get +1 to hit and wound until the next hero phase. Now that's a really good one. Now besides the command abilities that generals can have the possibility of having on their actual page, all generals have access to an ability called Inspiring Presence. Now, Inspiring Presence, what it does is you can pick a unit within 12 inches of your general, and that unit will not run away in the Battle Shock phase, which happens after combat. After combat, when stuff dies, instead of combat res, there's Battle Shock, which has a chance for units to flee the battle and count as slain. So Inspiring Presence is great if you don't want to have any of your models run away. But in this case, he's going to hold the line. So that's it for the hero phase. So next up is the movement. So his swordmen and his handgunners cannot move, but him and the Battle Wizard can move. So the way movement works is you click on the war scroll of your unit, and when you look at it, there's a little circle toggle, and at the top of it is the movement characteristic, and it'll say a number in inches. Now, this is how far a model can move without taking any penalty. So for him, because he's mounted, he has a move of 12 inches. So he can go basically up to there, but not really that far, because as you move, you also take your terrain into account. So if he's going to hop down this wall, for example, this wall is about 1.5 inches tall, so he's got to take that off of his movement. So really, he could only go up, 10.5 inches if he wanted to go up that far, which he does not. So he's just going to kind of clamber on down the wall and defend it like his men. And the Battle Wizard is going to move up a little bit, just to move for fun. Now, if you're not going to... what else units can do is called Run. where you can roll a d6 and add that to their move characteristic for the move. However, if a unit runs normally, they cannot charge later that turn or shoot. So it's nice if you're really trying to sprint up the board and you know you're not going after anything or whatnot. But if you are planning to run or planning to shoot or charge, you definitely don't want to use this ability. So because he isn't, we'll just run for fun. So he's normally 12, so he can go a total of 13 inches because he rolled a 1. But he'll just move over there, which is easily within his movement range, and just hang out with his buddies. Which actually he would have had to do, because also you cannot technically move through other models on the board. The only way you ignore them is if you have an ability called Fly on your War Scroll, which allows you to ignore units for movement. Now, the only other rule with the movement phase is you can't come in within 3 inches of enemy models unless you're engaged. So, if he wanted to move all the way up here, he would still have to stay 3 inches away from enemy models. You can't go within that 3 inch. It's considered their threat range. So, alright, so they are done with movement. So, after the movement phase is shooting, which, if any of your units have any range, they can take shots. So the way we do that is we just look at their missile weapons. So these handgunners have free guild handguns. So we look at them, they have a 16-inch range. So the first thing you do is you check what is in range of your units, if any. And that's every model. So if some models are out of range, they can't take shots, but everything is in range of this front unit, for example, if I want to shoot them. So then you look at how many attacks. So they have 1 attack each. There's 10 of them. So we'll take out 10 dice to take shots. Now normally they hit on 5s, but they can add 1 in the shooting phase as long as they did not move. There are no enemies within 3 inches. That's an ability these handgunners have on their scroll. So it goes to 4, and then the general's command ability brings them to a 3. So they'll hit on a 3-up. So now we can roll these dice. We're targeting these guys. And wow, that's pretty atrocious. We hit with 5 of our 10 shots. That's alright. These are handguns. In fantasy, we know they aren't very accurate. Now, they normally wound on 3s, but because of the general's ability, they'll now hit on 2s. So we're going to roll these, and poof. So 4 of them get through. So after wounds happen, you pass them over to your opponent, where they have a chance to save. So what they'll do is they'll look at their save characteristic in that little circle. It's on the right side of the circle. So the save on sensor bearers is... they actually don't have a save. So that'll cut straight through theirs. Normally you ask your opponent what their save is, and they'll ask you if you have any rend. So the rend on the handguns is -1. So you would subtract 1 from the rolls. So if they had a 6-up save, they actually can't get that, and that would cut straight through. If they had a 5, now they only save on 6s. So, but 4 of them get through, so that means 4 of these guys will die. Alright. So that's all for shooting. Next is the charge phases. We're not doing any charging. So we will then go into combat. There's no combat. So all that's left is battle shock. So any unit that lost models has to do a battle shock test. So we go to the plague sensor bearers and we'll look at their bravery. So they have a bravery of 5. So what you do is you take your dice. So we'll start with this unit over here that only lost 1. They roll a dice and they add the number they lost to the dice roll. So 3. Any number that it beats bravery by, 1 model will flee. So in this case, because 3 is under 5, no models run away from this unit. They're okay. However, This unit in the front lost 4 guys, so they'll roll their battle shock. They rolled a 2. So you add 1, 2, 3, 4 dead. So 2 plus 4 is 6. So that's 1 over the bravery, so one of them will flee, which will eliminate the unit. And after that, you pass turn to your opponent. So now it is the top of turn 1 for this side. Alright. So now we rinse and repeat. We go to the top of the phase, which will be the hero phase. So the Rotbringer Sorcerer is going to attempt to cast his own. He's actually going to cast Mystic Shield. Now, instead of doing damage, Mystic Shield actually will give a +1 to the save of a nearby unit. So he rolls a 6, which is enough to cast it. We know he's in range of the Battle Wizard, so the Battle Wizard can try and dispel it. He'll roll his dice. He rolled a 5, so did not pass the result, so the spell is not unbound. So he can put Mystic Shield on a unit within 18 inches. And he'll put it on his Plague Bearers. So they will have +1 to their save. Next, we're going to move on to the movement phase. Oh, Inspiring Presence. He'll drop it on this unit of 5. So, because he doesn't actually have his own command ability, but all generals get access to Inspiring Presence. So one unit within 12 is immune to Battle Shock. So he'll pick them. Alright. So next up is the movement phase. So Plague Sensor Bearers have a movement of 6. So they can move up the board 6 inches. Same with this one. Okay. So next up is the Plague Bearers can go. Now they only have a movement of 4. So 12. So they're pretty far away. So what they can do, since they aren't going to charge most likely, is they can run. So they roll a dice, and they add that to their movement. So they will go a total of 7. We'll roll Rotbringer Sorcerers as well. So he's good. He can keep pace. Okay. So this side actually doesn't have any shooting because it's Nurgle, and for the Nurgle most part, they don't have much in the way of shooting. So okay. So we will try and charge with the Plague Sensor Bearers. So the unit on the left, they are... So you measure from the shortest distance between the two models, which is 6.5. And the only rule is for a successful charge to happen, you have to end within ½ an inch of an enemy model. So roll these dice. And we got a 3, which is not high enough. So they fail the charge. And because they fail the charge, they don't move any further. They're done. Now the other unit of Plague Sensor Bearers are going to charge. They'll go 4. Wow. This is a low-rolling game, I guess, apparently. So, because of that, there's nothing else exciting happening. That will end the turn. Alright. And we will go to the top of the 2. Now, the way Sigmar works is instead of your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, and it stays consistent like that, the crazy thing about Age of Sigmar is both players actually roll off to see who decides who takes the top of the next turn. Makes things a little crazy, so right now, for example, Nurgle could end up with a double turn. So they'll go ahead and roll their dice. So Nurgle rolls and gets a 1. Empire rolls, gets a 4. So it looks like this round they are keeping turn order, but that definitely could have flipped around. So, alright. So the hero phase for the Empire, the Battle Wizard is going to cast his spell on his scroll. So he's an Amber Battle Mage, so he has a spell called wild form. So he'll roll his dice. Total of 10. That is enough to cast it. Nurgle's going to try and unbind it. Needing an 11, though. He will not get it, so the spell will go off. So what that allows him to do is pick a unit within, I don't remember the exact range, but it's like 12 inches or something. So he's going to pick the Free Guild Swords. What that does is it gives them +1 to wound in the combat phase until the next hero phase. So makes them a little more combat savvy, so to speak. Now, the enemy's getting a lot closer, so the general can decide to charge out, or he can use his command ability. So he's going to, instead of using it on everything, just holding the line, he's going to try and keep them back and at bay. So he's going to use hold the line. He'll pick just the handgunners, so they'll have +1 to hit and wound. And with that, we'll go into the movement phase. So he will move on up. Up to 3 inches away from the enemy. His Free Guild Swords will also join him. These guys got a little extra movement, so they can kind of peek around. So next up is shooting. So our handgunners are going to take shots. Now, you don't all have to shoot at the same thing when you're shooting. You can actually split shots between targets. So, and that's just what they're going to do. They're going to put 5 shots here, and the other 5 are going to shoot there. So we'll go ahead and roll for the right unit first. So they're looking for 3s. So they hit with 3 shots, wounding on 3s. So 2 will get through, taking out 2 plague bearers. Now, we may not have mentioned it, but when you lose models, you can actually decide where you lose them from in the unit. So if I wanted to, I could lose that one and that one, for example, or that one and that one. It doesn't have to be all from the same. So, but what we're going to do is we're going to lose these 2 outside over there. Alright, so next 5 shots are going to go into the other unit. So 3 get through, shoot to wound, and 3 wounds. So that'll kill 3 of these ones. Alright, so now you can decide still if you wanted to charge or not. You know, he's not locked into charging, but he will. So the way you do is you designate a unit for charging. So the general's going to charge. Roll 2 dice, add them together, and that's how far you can charge. Now what he's going to do is he's going to land right there. And then you go ahead and continue down the line. So this unit of swordsmen, they're going to charge. And with a 5, they will get into combat. Alright, so there are no more charges. So now combat starts. And the way combat works is you and your opponent go back and forth choosing a unit to attack with. So because it is the Free Guild's turn, they can decide who to attack with first. Now, fairly confident that his general isn't going to die right away. He's going to start with his Free Guild to see if he can soften up some of those plague bearers. So the first thing you do before you get to attack, so you pick your unit. Now they get to pile in up to 3 inches, which gives them a 3-inch move, but you have to move closer to the closest enemy model. So this guy will move up there, he'll move there, and so basically until they get into base contact with something, they just kind of keep moving up. And then same with these guys. So this guy can't go all the way over there. This is the closest enemy model, so he'll kind of just back up his buddy right there, back up his buddy right there, as long as they aim closer. So there they go. So they have swords. So we are looking at 10 attacks. Hitting on 4s. Okay. So go ahead and take all the hits. Okay. And now to wound, they are looking for 3s because of the spell cast on them. So these 6 looking for 3s. So we got 5 wounds through. So passes it to the opponent. There's no rend on these. So we go to the Plague Bearers. Plague Bearers normally have a 5-up save, but because of the Mystic Shield that was cast on them, they are now at a 4-up. So they can roll these looking for 4s or higher. So saved 4 of them, so 1 got through. Now they have an ability called Disgustingly Resilient though. So roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or a mortal wound to this unit. And on a 5-up, the wound is negated. So he rolls again. Nope, it gets through, so he'll take a wound. And he'll drop this one. Now it's the opponent's turn to pick a unit to attack with. So, because the Plague Bearers are in combat with the Swordsmen and they've already attacked, he doesn't need to pick them right away. He can pick something else, and anything that's within 3 inches of an enemy model can be chosen to pile in. So, he has this Plague Censer Bearer to pick, he has his Plague Bearers, Rotbringer Sorcerer is technically in range, but he's kind of stuck where he is for now. And as well as these Censer Bearers. So because this general hasn't attacked yet, he's going to start with his Censer Bearers. So they'll pile in like so. Now, Censer Bearers have 2 attacks each. So 6 attacks, hitting on 4s, wounding on 3s on the general. So 3 hits, 3s to wound. So 2 of those get through. These have a -1 rend. So we look at the general's save characteristic. He normally has a 4-up save. Because he has a shield, he's a 3-up save. But -1 rend will bring him back to a 4-up. So he's going to take these 2 dice. I'm going to roll them looking for 4s or higher. He fails them both. So he will take 2 wounds. Now, we look at his wound characteristic. He has 5 wounds he can take before he dies. So he can take 3 more. He's still alive. Alright. It's now his turn to pick for the Free Guild. And he'll pick himself. So he's going to use his sword, which has 5 attacks. These are hitting on 3s. Wounding on 4s. Wow. That's terrible luck. He missed with all those. Then his horse will attack. So his horse hits on 4s. Wounds on 4s. It's cocked. That's a lot of 1s he rolled, so he's not up to good. Alright, so this Censer Bearer is going to pile in. So he does have to end next to this guy, but he can, as long as he ends next to him, he can kind of go that way onto that one if he wanted. So, as long as he's not on top of enemy models. So he's got 2 attacks. Hitting on 4s. Wounding on 3. So 1 gets through at -1 on the Swordsman, the Free Guild Guard. So they have a 5-up, 4-up save because they're equipped with swords. So go ahead and roll this, looking for a 5, and he gets it. So the Swordsman saves. So now it's the Free Guild's turn again to attack. The Free Guild doesn't actually have anybody to attack with, though, left in combat. So it goes back to his opponent until he finishes attacking with everything. So now that it's his turn, Again, Nurgle's going to pile in, so this guy will go there, there, and there. So this guy's kind of stuck. He won't be able to get into anything. And this guy's dead. So, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of them in contact that can swing at the enemy. So Plague Bearers, they have 1 attack each. So we have 8 of them in range. So we'll take these dice. And they hit on 4s. Alright. Wound on 3s. So 4 of them got through. So now, no rend on those, so the Empire has to save. And he saves 2 of them. If these were 1s, he could reroll them because of abilities, but he can't. So 2 swordsmen will die. Alright. So now we check the sorcerer, see if he can get in. So he does have a 2-inch staff. So he can, because he's within 3, he can still pile in, even though he won't be in base contact. As long as he's within 3 inches, they're able to pile in. And if they're in range of their weapon, they can swing. So he'll pile up. He's got a 2-inch swing, so stay out of range so they can't hit him. And he'll swing away. He's got 1 attack. We'll see what happens. So hits on a 4. Nope. So that's all for that. So we go to Battle Shock. So start off with the swordsmen. They lost 2. We are bravery 5. Okay. Roll the dice. We rolled a 4, lost 2. So 4 plus 2 is 6. That's 1 over their bravery, so 1 model will run away and is considered slain. Now, the Plague Bearers on the left. Bravery 5. 4 plus 2. So 1 will run away. And so Plague Bearers, bravery 10. So they'll roll. And nothing happens. Okay. So we can clean up the battlefield, get rid of the dead now because they've all taken their battle shocks. And we will move on to the top of the next round. So let's roll to see who goes. Nurgle. 3. Okay. Looks like we're keeping turn order. No double turn in here for Nurgle. Which is probably good for the Empire, because they're in trouble. Alright, so we'll start off with the hero phase. So we're going to cast that Amber Surge on our Free Guild Guard. Get it off an 11. I'm going to try and dispel it, because he has nothing else to dispel, so might as well try. Nope, no double 6s, so spell goes off. They have +1 to wound. Our general can use a command ability again in the hero phase. So he'll use it on himself, his guard, and check what range it is on it. Oh yeah, 15 inches and a handgunners. So they all get +1 to hit and +1 to wound. They just can't move. Alright, with that is movement. We don't have much in the way of the movement. They're just going to try and hold that wall against the Nurgle line. So, and the other guys are in combat. Now, the only other thing you can do is if you start your turn in combat and you want to move, it's considered a retreat. Now, if you retreat, you can't charge or shoot later that turn normally. But it does get you out of combat if you didn't want to be in there, for example. So, it's a good thing to consider. But the Empire, they're going to try and do their job. And Empire Free Guild, as they're called now. And they're going to try and hold the line. So, no movements. So, we will go on to the shooting phase. And we're actually going to, they're going to dump all their shots into the Plague Bearers. So 3s. And the Empire is losing morale, apparently. 3s. So 3 get through at -1. Puts them back at 5s. So they get to reroll 1s because of Nurgle. Nope. So 3 get through. Now they're resilience. Looking for 5s. No. So they will lose 3. Okay. So that's it for shooting. We will go to combat, and we are going to start with our Free Guild Guard with their swords. Alright, so swords hit on 4s normally, but they now hit on 3s because of the general's ability. All hits. Oh, we're swinging just into the Plague Bearers. You're supposed to declare all attacks before you roll them. You can't decide afterwards, because we do have the choice of the Censer Bearer here, but we're going to go all into the Plague Bearers. So now we are looking for 2s because of the spell and the command ability. So everything but 1 hits. Now 4-up save from the Plague Bearers. So rerolling 1. Oh, that's just shooting. Nope. Okay. So 2 get through. And now, because they're disgustingly resilient, and hey, they fail 2 more. Alright. So now it's their turn. And they are gonna. Nurgle is gonna start by swinging away on that general. So we are looking for 4s and 3s. So 2 hits. General -1 rend. So 3-up becomes 4-up. Okay, so things are not looking good for Mr. General. He's going down pretty quick. Alright, well, General can swing back because he's not dead yet. And he's going to hit those Censer Bearers. So he is looking for 2s now because of his command ability, because he's refusing to move. And 3s to wound. 2 wounds get through. Doesn't matter, they don't have any armor. So the Censer Bearers will die. Alright, so the Plague Bearers that remain are going to swing away. For 4s and 3s, they get nothing. So now our other Censer Bearer rolls 1, 5-up. Nope, we will lose a Free Guild. Okay. And our Sorcerer is going to do his 1 poke. Hits. He does wound, -1, so they're looking for a 5. They reroll 1s because they're shield, and they get it, thank goodness. That could have hurt bad. Alright, so now Battle Shock. Bravery 5 on the Free Guild. So we're going to roll. They roll a 1, so they will not run. Over here, they did lose 5, so they have a chance to flee at Bravery 10. And they don't, because that only puts them at 9. They're good. And Battle Shock on the Censer Bearer, who lost 3 of his brothers. So 3 plus 3 is 6. That's 1 over their bravery. So that Censer Bearer will flee as well. Okay. So bottom of the turn goes to Nurgle. So Nurgle will use his special spell on his profile now that he's in range. So his spell is called Stream of Corruption. So it has casting value of 6, and if it's successfully cast, pick an enemy unit that's within 7 inches. So I'm going to roll this. And he'll fail. So no spell for him. Alright. He doesn't have much left to do, so he's going to let his boys swing in combat. But looks like the Empire might live to fight another day. 1 save for the swordsman. They fail, they'll lose 1. Okay. Okay, and the swordsman will... Normally he'd pick the swordsman, but because the Plague Bearers went first, it's no longer his turn, so he can pile in. So his general is going to come in and try and help out and save the day. So 5 hits, hidden on 3s. Wounding on 2 3s. So all get through. -1, so we are looking for 6s from Nurgle. No. And they're disgustingly resilient because they're Nurgle. Saves 1, so 3 of them will die. Okay. The Rotbringer now can pile in. So he does have to end closer to this guy if he wants to pile in. But that doesn't mean he has to swing at him. So he could pile in like so. And he's actually going to swing at... So he has the choice. He could try and kill the general, or he could go after the guard. Because the guard haven't attacked yet, he's going to try and kill some guards so there's less attacks coming back. So he'll roll, and he'll miss. So with that, the swordsman will pile in up to their 3 inches. And 3 of them are going to attack the sorcerer, and 2 will try and hit the plague bearer. So 1 on the plague bearer, 5 up, fails. Super save. No, the plague bearers go down. They are gone. All that's left is the sorcerer, who's going to get swung at by these guys. Will hit. Will wound with 1. He'll try and save it. And with that, let's see. 5 up save. He'll fail. So he will take a wound. So with that, we'll end our tutorial. I hope you got the idea of how the game works now. Be sure to check out more of our battle reports on our channel. Obviously, we try and get them out there every so often, and we have a good selection for you now to check out while you're doing painting and such as well. So, yeah, looks like that Nurgle was fought off this day in the Realm of Fire, because pretty sure they'll take this guy down. So just a quick review real quick over the different phases of the game. So each turn is broken up into different phases. First you have the hero phase, which is your magic and command abilities, prayers, things of that nature. After the hero phase is the movement phase, where you can move your units about the battlefield. They can run, they can retreat, stuff like that. After movement is shooting, where any unit with a ranged value that has not ran that turn normally, there are some units in the game that can then take shots at something within range. After the shooting phase is charging, so any unit that's within 12 inches of an enemy model can roll 2d6, add them together, and as long as one model from their unit ends within half an inch of an enemy, the charge will be considered successful. If it fails if you do not get to that result. So if you're 6.5 inches away and you roll a 5, not enough, so you fail that charge. After the charge phase is combat, where players take turns going back and forth picking units that can pile in up to 3 inches towards the closest enemy model and then make their attacks. Now you delegate all attacks before you roll dice. If there's multiple units in combat that they are in combat with, you have to pick which guy's swinging at what, so they know that all beforehand. Can't just kill a unit with some swings and like, oh, now I'm going to use these swings on that. No, you have to declare all your attacks at once. Same in the shooting phase. A unit has to declare all its attacks before it does fire. After the combat phase is Battle Shock, where if a unit lost models, like this one here, you roll a dice, add the number that died to the result, and every number over your bravery, one model from the unit has to run away. Other than that, welcome to Age of Sigmar. I hope you enjoy it, and yeah, join us for future sessions. Feel free to subscribe. Have a good day.